lineup that they're running, you know what? Sure. Why not?
One thing I will say is that I do think Moffat is actually somewhat underrated. I feel like anytime I've seen him on a whole bunch of different teams, he usually comes out and has pretty big games, even if his team doesn't always win. So I'm just sort of curious to see if he has leveled up a little bit since the last time we've seen him in these tournaments. And should be interesting to see. Now, he's still going to have his work cut out for him here because, heck, you take a look at Moffat going to be up against AZK. Not the easiest goal for any Tracer.
No, Moffat's Tracer is very good, but you have to really surprise AZK and get up early in the morning to get the drop on him, so to speak. It's the only way you can really survive against McCree is to just make sure his cooldowns are off and hope you hit a full clip onto his head. We'll see. I would generally give the edge here for Liquid, but that's just because Splyce right now on this roster is a complete unknown. I think we'll find out pretty much where they are. We know kind of where Liquid is right now, so it's going to be a good barometer to see what kind of where Splyce is at. Early hook though.
Early hook comes out. Moffat right now looking for pickoffs here on the Tracer, throwing a lot of his firepower into the Reinhardt, not to a whole lot of effect, just trying to break the shield early on. But you take a look at Liquid. Liquid is just standing this pretty well. Truly got a little bit low for a moment, but took a lot in turn. Set up Mezar for that first kill. But Shrugger again be firing it right back. Shrugger on the Genji has a double kill here. Haven't seen that much craziness on Genji here tonight, but Shrugger looking to change that as he moves forward.
This might be something that they weren't necessarily expecting because a lot of times, well, at least in the last month or so, you don't see both a Genji and a Tracer on this map. A double flanker is a little bit out of the ordinary here. We'll see if they end up trying to make changes on this eventually, but Liquid so far sticking with the roster that they have. Early on, it was nice that Adantonian hit a nice bio nade in, and that allows the flankers to come in and do the finishing damage that they need to do. Dragon Blade out with the nano boost.
Here comes Shrugger, already has effectively two, looking for the third, takes down Dehang. It's gonna be a Death Blossom coming in late into the fight off that nano boosted Reaper, but truly only picking up one off of it. A good response here from the Roadhog of Graceful. And just like that, it's gonna be Splyce fighting Team Liquid back. So for now, the double flanker kind of working out here, Hex.
Absolutely. Graceful just took a breather right in the Death Blossom's face, then hooked him and cleaned that up. But so far, they're gonna give it another round as they have built ultimates here. Only using the one on their way in, but so far it has definitely been all of Splyce.
Sugar right now coming into back, gonna get sucked into that Graviton, but the deflection there, taking down Truly. Still anyone's fight, 5 versus 5. Shrugger though at good HP. You have to deal with Mezar here in a moment. Mezar's already taken down 2. Shrugger though, focusing in on AZK, giving him all he can handle. But while this is going on, Liquid is just sort of powering the way onto the point, getting a kill here and there. AZK taking down Moffat, so Shrugger's been looking for heroics, but could be difficult. Still finds AZK towards the back, has Dragon Blade at the ready. Might be better off saving it though till the next fight.
Well, Graceful's going to come in here too, and the reason that you come in here and you stay on this point right now is they probably got 10% there just by trickling onto the point. It's not all that awful to feed ults, knowing that if you can get it down to about 80 and you only have the one fight to win, it's not the worst. So we might see a little bit of a junk rush here, as they know they just spread a bunch of ults trickling in on there. They haven't seen the most amount of ults out of Liquid anyway, so they might just try to force a fight and get some stuff used.
Well, that's exactly what happens. Do you think they actually might have wanted to go with the Nano Blade of their own there, and then just decide, you know what, we're going to save the Nano Boost, we're going to save the Dragon Blade, and go back, and it might really work out for them here, because now you take a look at Liquid, the only thing they have to deal with the Nano Blade is going to be Sound Barrier, which, while good, does not necessarily mean you're not going to give up kills during that entire duration, so big opportunity here for Splyce to take this first round away from Team Liquid.
A nice Earthshatter's been knocked down Rafa. Mezar has to give his life to save him. Both Reinhardt's down now, which means AZK is going to take out Shrugger with that Deadeye.
A little bit of disrespect, I feel like, coming in from Shrugger. The challenge of Deadeye like that got punished horribly. AZK with 3 kills. And that's unfortunate there for Splyce, because for Splyce, I feel like that was their window to win this game. Now it becomes significantly less clear. Rafa's built up a Graviton for the next fight. If they lose this round, they gotta look back at that moment and go, well, this was a mistake.
Yeah, Mez kept Rafa alive by charging in. He also took out the opposing Reinhardt, opened up the window for that.
Oh, the deflected Graviton! He deflected the Graviton, moves in, Shrugger with the hero play there, takes down Rafa, throws his Graviton back in his face, 2 quick kills. AZK now under the gun, going to have to save his team from what was a great play from Shrugger. Already took down Shrugger, looking for more. Mezar getting into the backline, but here comes the side of Splyce moving in. Graceful on the AZK. And now it's going to be Splyce, now in the driver's seat. Big potential to turn this in their favor and win this map.
Yeah, they are cleaning up now. Mez and AZK can only do so much. They were the only ones with really enormous plays so far in this for Liquid. Liquid will be able to get back on here and contest. AZK's got Deadeye. They will have a Death Blossom as well, but not much more to work with. So it's going to be up to the DPS to get these early kills.
All right, overlay has been fixed. Pure comes in, takes down Mezar early on. 2 kills here from Splyce, 2 kills coming back here from Liquid. Super back and forth, but you take a look at Truly. Has the Death Blossom here and at the ready. Moving in, holding on to the Death Blossom. Waiting for that right moment, but gets slept! Can't get the Death Blossom off due to the sleep. Actually, his mid-Death Blossom was interrupted. It was a split-second blink and you miss it. Shrugger, 2 kills, gets the cleanup he needs, and it's going to be Splyce. Bring it back here against Team Liquid.
Double flanker was pretty good there. I've always really liked Genji on that map. Shadowburn is the prime example of why you can run Genji on that map. A lot of verticality, a lot of places to duck, dodge, and dive through. So it's also just one of Shrugger's best heroes. And Moffat and Shrugger have been given no reason to get off of the Tracer and Genji, so they will be on that. AZK might respond by his own Tracer right now, and it looks like they might respond by running the exact same thing, but they're going to throw Winston into the mix.
Good to see Winston's return here, Hex. Just in the sense where I feel like he's been definitely a little bit underplayed here in King of the Hill. And again, you take a look at how Winston is really utilized in the Asia scene right now, where you look at Korea or China, where you see way more Winston getting played. I do feel like he's a little bit underused in NA. And Mezar, I mean, hopefully he's been taking some notes. Mind
games come in, though. I know what you're thinking. As Shrugger switches onto the Reaper instead, is going to try to punish Mez for the deep dive. Mez takes down Adatonian, though. Gets a ton of heals from his own Ana, and they are turning this in their favor.
That really worked out there for Team Liquid, but I will note just the style difference between the Winstons from your regions like Korea and Winstons from NA. Mezar came very, very close to dying there, whereas you take a look at a player like Miro almost never comes close to dying, at least early on in a fight. He's a lot more cautious about his engagements and always makes sure the supports have his back. In NA, I feel like the Winstons are much more aggressive and might be why we see less of them.
They play Winston like an assassin tank rather than a control and keep my team alive tank. I think what is the biggest difference between their Dahang taking out his opposite number, though, as Adantonian goes down. Adantonian already been picked off twice this game, as Liquid seems to have found their footing now on this stage.
Liquid right now, 30% in their favor. Definitely been giving Splyce a bit of trouble here. Splyce no longer running Genji, which makes it a little bit sad, because I think Shrugger was doing an enormous job on that Genji. Obviously, the deflected Graviton, the icing on the cake here, but take a look at Liquid. Both their flankers have their ultimates up here. AZK might be well advised to hold on to this Pulse Bomb for Rafa, but I think AZK is the type of player where he sees something, he's like, oh, but hang on. Here we go. Truly coming in with a Dragon Blade of his own, moves in, takes down Moffat. Nano Boost was on him that entire time, so it doesn't really collect as much as you might think, but he's done the job. 4 people are down here for the side of Splyce, and it should be an easy cleanup here from Liquid.
Pure is making it hard on the Winston to get his cleanup. He's trying to take him down. Lucio, one of the hardest heroes to kill in the game. Rollerblades are just that important to living. Rafa does finally take him down.
All right, so Liquid one major fight away from taking this round and evening things up. Rafa holding on to this Graviton. Doesn't have to worry about it getting deflected this time. Genji not on the menu, so he's just going to move in, throws the Graviton, pulls in 4, and here comes the fall through. 2 quick kills, but Shrugger going to explode out of that Graviton with the Death Blossom. Still under fire, under the gun, will end up falling here, the Minstrel. So Shrugger not quite able to fight his way out of that. Liquid in a great position now to finish out this map.
You saw a little bit of a different style play from the Winston there, as Mez was perched up above the entry, got a lot of free damage with that cleave, and Twilly unable to get back onto the point. Liquid with a bit of a statement stage after how poorly Control Center went for them. They were able to bring that back, look just as good for them there. I think with these control maps, Liquid just has stages that they are just not good at.
I think that's pretty clear, especially if the trend is here where, let's say Liquid takes this stage right now, say they take the Garden, and then they go back to Control Center and lose. There's definitely a little bit of an Achilles heel there for Liquid on these control maps where they just don't do well indoors. I think you could safely say that.
We're gonna do great.
Unfortunately... Sorry, go ahead.
We'll see what they want to run here now is now the appearance of Zarya coming out from Splyce, which we have not seen yet. That might be in response to Truly's Genji, as he ran a really nice one there. So that you have to have something to deal with it. If you're not going to run a Winston, Zarya's the next best thing.
Zarya not too bad dealing with it. Mezar still going to be going into full budget Miro mode right now on the Winston, looking for pickoffs right now. Goes to the back. And he's taking so much damage.
Yeah.
It really is an assassin Winston, as you mentioned. Ends up dying, but creates enough room here for Pure the fall early on. But still, with Winston down early on, you see Splyce taking more advantage of this. Shrugger already has 2 kills, is zoning things out here on the Reaper, laying shot after shot in the AZK. Down he goes. And just like that, it's going to be Splyce with first control here on the Garden.
We're going to have to run a Reaper here. If you're running into 3 tanks, it's just not enough from Tracer and Genji to get it done. They might wait one more fight, but running only a Winston and a Zarya is not going to be enough to do it because you don't even have a Roadhog to try to isolate those tanks. You don't have the area control that these 3 tanks are offering you. They do dive in very deep. Mez gets slept. Mez is in trouble. Mez is dead.
All right, Truly right now dives to the backline, has Dragon Blade up, not going to get a chance to use it. It's 2 quick kills coming out here from Splyce as they're looking to turn the tables pretty quickly here. They're holding things on, and Liquid really struggling to get things going here. Now, in the next fight, they will have Nano Blade combo, so a lot can be on Truly to change this around.
Right. If they don't win this next fight, then you almost have to switch. Now, Overwatch is not as simplistic as rock, paper, scissors, but there's a reason that you usually run Reapers into this many tanks. He's just the best counter to it.
Truly right now coming in, holding on to the Dragon Blade, but really getting stymied by the Graviton, not able to get out of there. Total waste in the end. And this stage going much more the way of Splyce. And Hex, what are we seeing here in the engagements from Liquid that are really favoring Splyce to the way that it is so far?
You're seeing Mez die immediately, every single time, and that was yet again. So much so that he has switched off of it now. He is on to a Reinhardt instead. When Liquid has looked their best is when Mez is doing his best on the Reinhardt. They do finally bring in the Reaper. I wonder if it's too late.
Oh no, the Whole Hog sends Mezar on a ride, tried to charge through, not gonna be enough. Whole Hog with a little bit more impulse strength, and oh my goodness, it is a bad time to be a Reinhardt. Every Reinhardt getting thrown into the pool there. 4v4 between both teams. Splyce, aided by Aid Tony in here in the back, just trying the whole positioning. Aid landing in shot for shot, healing his teammates, saves Pure at the last moment. Late Graviton is out. There's not really a fall through for it, so it's a little questionable.
Yeah, but the
DPS
reinforcements
from
are coming
Splyce
in.
still trying to get back in.
That Graviton was to buy enough time for everyone else to get here so they could take this fight unevenly, because it was at 2v3 at the time. The Graviton just held them out of position, made them odd, so they got the remaining tanks back in there, turned it into a 5v3, which is a fight they had no problem winning. Splyce up 2-1.
2-1.
I think that's the last time we'll see Winston on Liquid.
It's very possible, and again, I think it's not just Mezar that had problems on Winston.
No.
I mean, we've seen other teams struggle to bring in Winston as well. I think Ruster, of course, was playing Winston earlier in the night for LG, and that didn't go super well. I think it's one of those cases where, again, you look at the different regions. Winston, very viable, very strong, but how you play Winston in a control setup is very different from how you play Winston when you just want to get into the back line and kill some dudes.
All right, well, they are going to stay on the Reaper, at least from the side of Liquid, but it is going to be a Tracer from them too, and that Reaper is going to be a good pick because they're going to be running into triple tank yet again from the side of Splyce.
Alrighty, and this is going to be a test here for Liquid where they have not fared well on indoor control maps thus far. We'll see if they can change things around here. AZK is on the Tracer, so there's a little bit of a switch up there. He's going to go to the back right now, looking for things to pick off. Not really committing too much here, but as this is going on, Moffin and Shrugger just raw power leading into the Liquid team. They pick off the first 2 kills, and the snowball started. Liquid going to get thrown out of here in a hurry.
Well, we are on Control Center, and so far Liquid has shown that they struggle very, very much on this map. I think at some point it's going to have to be Mez making big plays. That's when they look their best on this stage in particular, but it might even be in their head now.
Very well could be, and Mez right now is holding on to that Earth Shatter, and for them to get value off this, they have to take down Tweety's Earth Shatter, or Shield first, but oh my goodness, Mezar finds the way through, sets up AZK for the triple kill Pulse Bomb, and an extra charge just for good measure. Mezar with some serious redemption there, didn't even need to get cut through Tweety's Shield.
guts of this team has always been Mez and AZK, and they show you why. We always talk about Pulse Bomb as a great follow-up to Graviton, but Earthshatter is underrated in that it is a control ultimate as well, and people are really easy to kill and throw stuff on when they're lying on the ground.
Alright, and you take a look at Liquid right now. They're about to have some very valuable ults up here in just a moment. One thing I'm curious on, Shrugger had such a good Genji the first time around here. He's still on the Reaper. I kind of would like to see him go back. Still, though, he is coming in here on the Reaper from the flank. Takes down to Hang. Doesn't get much more than that.
Well, it's Rafa.
Gets 2 in the end. It's not too bad coming out here from Shrugger. Looking for a little bit more, but is Liquid on the back foot, so Genji or no Genji, Splyce still finding a way of bringing this through here. They should retake control, but it's very close.
Yeah, I wonder if sometimes Liquid plays a little bit too much into the save ults and that a fight is over, right? So there's so many times where they lose one and then they just won't hit any ults after that because they want to have ult advantage for the next fight. But losing one is not necessarily the end of the fight. And I just wonder if the calls aren't coming out quick enough or they're coming out too quick of don't use ults, don't burn ults, let's try to win this anyway. And it has not worked out for them.
No, not at all, and take a look here. Here comes Graceful. Graviton Surge is out. Gonna pull in 2 here for Splyce. Whole Hog is coming in the counter with them. They do take out truly early, but Rafa, the counter fire. Zarya and Zarya action. AZK gonna open the door here with the Pulse Bomb in the back. So 3 kills here from Liquid, and the counter engage from them really opening the door there where it was Splyce that went in first, but Liquid, they backed off a little bit, saw an opportunity, and brought it right back in their favor.
The economy that I was mentioning is going to pay off for them for sure, as Mez is the only one with an ult on the field. Antonio gets in just now, Antonian rather. So a little bit of a vanilla fight incoming here.
A little bit vanilla to be sure. You take a look here at Splyce. Here comes the nano boost on the Tweety. Tweety going to be opening the way. Doesn't quite get anything off it just yet. Swings his hammer, gets spooked back. Getting controlled thoroughly here by Minstrel and a sleep dart. The CC of Team Liquid on point. And that is one way of controlling Reinhardt. Atonian gets a kill towards the end, but not going to be enough. And now, for Team Liquid, they might be getting over their indoor curse. 1 fight away, Hex.
Mez had another huge Earthshatter up top there to knock down 3, and even though he wasn't there for the cleanup, his buddy AZK was. They are going to have Big Bang Theory at the ready here, so that is going to be a combo they're going to try to hit. Graceful switches off onto the D.Va.
Here comes the Sound Bearer coming out from the offense. They're trying to move in. Countered by Graviton, though, as Rafa picks up 3. It's 2 kills here from the side of Team Liquid. Graceful and Shrugger getting on the Minstrel Alpha, so it's very, very close between both teams here. Truly, though, at full HP has a good opportunity to just roll in and get the cleanup here. This is something that Reapers really like towards the end. Similar to McCree's, just with a little bit less range.
I think the D.Va pick was just to try to eat ultimates because D.Va was just looking for Rafa, trying to get that Graviton and absolutely negate it. And also AZK had Pulse Bomb up though, not able to actually get it done there, but Defense Matrix is good that way if you can actually position yourself right. So an interesting switch there knowing that they're going on. It's going to be kind of interesting to see if Graceful stays on this. Got a couple of kills post Graviton, was able to stay alive, so we haven't seen a whole lot of D.Va, especially on control maps. No, they will switch Graceful over to the Zarya. So 2-2 here on Lijiang, and Liquid, the moment we say just struggles on certain stages, finally wins Control Center.
It's all going to come down to this here on the night market. And Hex, do you expect to see any changes in strategy or tactics coming through here? Because I feel like both teams, they've both won 2 rounds each, and it doesn't seem like they have a huge incentive to really change things up too much.
No, I think Liquid's finally settling in on this as well. They understand they have to run a Reaper, but AZK is feeling much more at home on the Tracer, and just getting that combination of Mez starting off fights, getting huge chunks of damage, and having Tracer able to come in and finish it has been great for them.
Moffat right now just hanging back on this Roadhog behind his own Rhine Shield, firing into the counter Rhine Shield, looks for the hook from long range, doesn't quite get it. And this is the key about Roadhog, is that he is good at counterfire to the other Reinhardt shield. They do break it right away. AZK gonna fall. Another hook in from Moffat, takes down Rafa. So it's slowly but surely pretty good stuff coming out here from Splyce, but a early Earthshatter coming out from Mesvar and a nano boost. Unfortunately for him, the sleep dart stops him from really getting everything he wants done. Still picks up 1 towards the end, but not gonna be enough.
shows you what a razor's edge this game ends up being, because I was just mentioning how Liquid maybe saves things a little too much, and right there it's just 2 seconds away from using it at the perfect time and using it a little bit too late. Now the response was perfect from Splyce on the sleep dart on Mez, but they had to throw a lot at that and didn't get really anything out of it. So that first point is going to Splyce. They're going to burn some ults now as a boosted.
Oh no, look at this! Moffat coming in, was looking to knock people off the edge, still did all sorts of damage. A beautiful Roadhog setup gives him 3 kills and catches Team Liquid with their pants down.
Mez trying to bring it back. God does get 2 on his way to a grave right there, but yeah, that was... Whole Hog is so fun because either they stay in it and they die, or they go wherever you want them to. It is kind of just like a reverse track redeem of death.
Well, right now, Splyce definitely in the driver's seat. We do have a Graviton come out here. Here comes Shrugger with the Death Blossom, looking for anything. Doesn't quite get too much, but his team already has 2 kills. Graceful on a rampage. Zarya has already taken out 3, fully charged up. That's always horrifying when you have Zarya at that level of energy as a fight is wrapping up. So now for Team Liquid, as they're fighting to stay alive in this map, they really need to win the next fight, because maybe they can get a fight after that, but they really are down to 1 good attempt, especially if they blow ultimates in this next fight.
Mez and AZK, they're always the people to look for. Rafa's also got Graviton up.
Graviton does come in. Here comes the Big Bang combo, but it's healed up here by Ana as Rafa gets taken for a ride, and Splyce not really phased here, Hex.
No, the Earthshatter did knock down 3. No cleanup right there. They do have a couple people alive. Mez still getting fed. He does get the late Graviton, or the late Ana boost as well, but he gets slept yet again. I think Splyce truly understands where Liquid's bread is buttered is through Mez, and they have focused him very hard.
Absolutely, and now 95% is Liquid on the hot seat. I'm not even sure they have anyone positioned, but it's going to be Minstrel. Well, no, it was going to be Minstrel. He got in the point and then was immediately bopped. Has been the hero for Liquid at times before in delaying, but not so much this time. Splyce going to take it on the 5th and final round here on Lijiang, so been some really close control point games here today, Hex.
Yeah, absolutely. AZK did have this really beautiful bomb right there. Easy to hit, but it was AZK and Mez played really well, but at a certain point you know those two are going to play really well, and you just start shutting them down. I mean, the amount of sleep darts that Mez had to eat during those last couple stages was brutal.
And we've been seeing that more and more as teams get more comfortable with their Ana. You can sort of expect to get really good sleep dart plays. Not every fight, but certainly every 1 in 4 fights, 1 in 3 fights. The way Rolf was playing earlier today, every 1 in 2 fights. So it's definitely been more consistent as teams have gotten more comfortable with Ana.
And that is such a high skill cap that I think that will only continue to increase pretty high. And like they'll become more and more important, especially for stopping the other Ana. What I'll say is the most significant thing to me about that whole series is that Splyce started it off with, I would say, a pretty weird comp without Zarya. They had double flank, Genji Tracer, and then Graceful on Roadhog, and they had no Winston nor Zarya with it, which is very, I think, a little bit weird, and that probably caught Liquid off guards. They were automatically down 1-0. I think Liquid responded as well as they could have. They went dive comp themselves. They were able to bring it back 1-1. Then Splyce responded to them, and Liquid didn't change into the Reaper Tracer combo they needed to late enough. And then I think really AZK was doing a lot on Tracer. He really was, especially he was trying to counter the Roadhog from Moffat at the end. But really Liquid was just not able to do enough damage and get enough combos with Rafa and Zarya to get the frags they needed to win the team fights.
All right, so we do know what the next map is going to be. It's going to be Numbani. And what can we really expect from Liquid coming out here on Numbani? They definitely had a very rough time on Route 66 where they looked a little bit lost, but is that a generic payload escort type thing, or is that a situation where just they weren't all that comfortable with Route 66? And of course, they aren't up against Kingdom here, they're up against Splyce, but what do you see going forward here, Hex?
I hope to see what we saw earlier, and that is a Pharah and Mercy combination. It's a map that I think you can run on it no matter what, because if they're holding high ground, you can get through there. Also, if they're holding stairs high ground, you can also come around the right side and knock people off. I think the concussion is so underrated in a lot of these situations where teams are going to have a 5-stack or a 6-stack up top on defense. And if you can start scattering them, then that combination becomes even better too. Because if you can just locate the one threat, which is usually a McCree, have someone deal with that, then the Pharah and Mercy are just going to run wild.
I'm going to agree with Hex. Liquid has liked to run Pharah Mercy on Numbani first point. They've done it before. The only thing I will say that I'm a bit concerned about is still how good Lucio is and how far the first spawn point is to attacking A. So if you run Mercy Pharah, then you have to run Ana just because of how broken Ana is in the current meta. So when you do Ana Mercy, you lack speed. That gives you probably 1 or 2 less team fights over the entirety of 4 minutes on Numbani. And even though we didn't get to see it earlier, you know that you can full hold on defense. As Cloud9, I think, in Kingdom went back at each other. So maybe Pharah Mercy definitely wouldn't surprise me. On Splyce's end, I think it's going to be more interesting on what they want to do. Are they going to be playing May? Are they going to be doing Roadhog?
I will say I'm a little bit surprised that we don't see Pharah Mercy more often right now, just because there's plenty of times where we've seen that teams aren't necessarily running McCree. They're running, say, something like May Reaper. And when you're running May Reaper for control, it's great. And yet on the same note, you are giving up a lot of aerial control where you're really relying on your Ana to sort of pick up the slack. But if your Ana is trying to shoot a Pharah, then your Ana's not healing everyone. You're missing out on all that healing per second. And a big reason as to why Ana is good. So it still catches me a little bit off guard that we don't see quite as much Pharah as you might think, particularly against teams that don't have shutdown McCrees. At least if they're not running a McCree, run the Pharah Mercy, make them swap to McCree, make them get off their game plan, then run your own game plan. I don't know. It just seems like teams haven't always adapted the best to Pharah Mercy, and we still don't see teams trying to go for it all that often.
I do think part of that is because you require the Mercy with the Pharah. It's really hard, at least right now, to do without it.
That's true. It is a 2-hero commitment, but if you can get it going, it's such a great momentum play too, because you can move it forward, brings it back in fights a lot of times. I think so far teams have not adapted on how to use Mercy when you're running that combination. It's if that Pharah goes down, there's a lot of Mercies that would be like, okay, I'll just go hide in a corner and I'll get a 5-man res, but it's just so hard to get an effective 5-man res nowadays because teams are so good at targeting out those players who are spread around, and unless everyone's dying in the same group, and even then the defending team or the team without the Mercy is so ready to deal with those resurrecting characters that I think really the way to go is that if you lose your Pharah, maybe wait for 1 second and then try to bring up 1 or 2 people. But these 5-man reses have been absolutely shut down every single time, so we might see an adjustment there. So far though, no Mercy being picked immediately. It looks like Liquid is running pretty standard, but it's early in composition picking. What do you see from the defense, EP?
Well, on the defense, you're seeing pretty standard as well. They are running the Winston for more control, which I like. I think Winston, particularly on the blind, can be pretty effective. They're running it with a McCree and a Roadhog, so no Reaper here. The Roadhog can sort of be being budget Reaper when it comes to taking out other tanks and still having bigger pick-off capabilities. So that's what we're seeing here from the defense. And I will say this for the offense, or just in general on the Pharah note, is that I think people forgot that one of the biggest reasons why people stopped running Pharah, it wasn't just the buffs in McCree, it was also Zen being crazy good. But in case anyone hasn't noticed, we haven't seen a whole lot of Zen recently, so that also would be reasoning to try and run Pharah a little bit more, I feel like.
We've seen 0 Zen.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I do like the Striker pick, but Liquid's running the right thing for it.
Yeah, they are.
Go ahead. Well, they have Reaper. They have both Reaper and McCree here, so Shrugger is going to have to be really careful not to just get torn apart. Here we go right now, Shrugger leading the way into this back line of Liquid. Does get a lot of cleave down, but Tweedy falling immediately. Mezar finding Pure. It's already 2 quick kills here from Liquid, and you can't ask for anything more on an early attack. Even if they lose some people here, they should be able to win the respawn war, as there's just no one around to really deal with Truly at this point.
We talked about Winston's trying to be assassin Winstons, and yet again, Shrugger dove in, trying to get to the back line, and he ends up having to fight 1v4 because he wanted to split them off. But if you want to split someone off, why not run a mate? They are bringing this fight back, though, as Splyce, as Mop and Tweety rejoined the battle and started off with a couple of kills. All the momentum in the world is going bad now for Liquid. Mez trying to bring it back by himself, but we've seen this story before. It probably will not be enough. Never mind.
Oh my goodness, it was Atonian going off for a while there, but at least for the defense, they were able to bring this back, and you can't help but feel like that was an opportunity lost for Liquid. Liquid had a very decisive first attack, and they let Splyce get back into it. And now you take a look as ultimates are coming up. They were going to have an Earth Shadow. They're going to have Primal Rage soon. There's a lot more that the defense can use to really stall this out.
They're also going to be pushing into ults, and they used a couple of ults last time. So Mez did enough damage after he got boosted that he's going to have another Earth Shatter up, but they're just going right up the stairs again. They do eat a Fire Strike, but now in a decent position. You really want to let AZK get some kills here. Shrugger's going to try to jump in again, and he gets pushed right off the top. So now a slower push coming out as Truly tries to get in the back line. Definitely just slowpoke here. I think Liquid might be waiting for a pick before they jump off here. Here comes AZK.
So the Deadeye comes in from AZK, doesn't get anything just yet, but creates an opportunity for Liquid to be a little bit more aggressive. But Moffat turning the tables immediately. Pure holding onto Sound Bear, should be dropping the beat here in just a moment. As you take a look at Splyce through slow playing it. Earth Shatter comes in, and for now, Pure holding on to it. Patience maybe not paying off as much as they want, so they do lose two. Yes, the Sound Bear later into the fight while they're down people, and now it's sort of leaving Moffat in a situation where Moffat has to bring this back. He will get one kill, looking for more. It works out here for Splyce. I don't know if Pure should have held Sound Barrier quite that long, because that's the reason why Truly had that opportunity to begin with.
Yeah, I think he might have been waiting to use the sound barrier later, which is a kind of a general rule that you want a sound barrier second if at all possible, especially on defense. So as soon as Minstrel did break it down, you saw the reply from Pure. So a battling Lucio concert, how appropriate for this map especially. So right now, though, this is Liquid's last push, and they don't have a ton to work with. They're going to have Graviton, and then Dahang will have his ult up too. They're just going to jump right on the point and hope for the best.
Oh, they had the Graviton, but it's going to be the Nano Boost in McCree immediately taking out AZK, looking for Rafa. Rafa just barely alive, falls to Shrugger in the end. First two kills here to the defense of Splyce, and Splyce pushing Liquid back. Now take a look at the payload. Oh no, I think they still have people up and around. Shrugger still have Primal Rage. They could, I don't know if they could have won that fight, but I think they had a better chance at than they gave themselves, if nothing else.
Map and point awareness tonight has not been team strong points across the board. So a little bit interesting. That fight was in no way over or won when the point was actually captured. So a bit of a break for Liquid, but Mez continues to do work all the way through. He's gotten 2 kills in every single fight, and so Moppet is going to get off his McCree, which I find a little bit odd. His McCree was very good. It's not perfect for this second point, but feels like he wants to play Tracer instead.
Indeed, and here we go. Death Blossom coming from Truly just immediately evaporates Shrugger there. The helicopter doing Shabby. 3K here from Truly. And oh my goodness, Splyce just getting caught all out of sorts here. 4 kills coming out here from the side Team Liquid, and they're making up for all sorts of lost time. They're going to glide to second with ease. And Mezar going to be in a hero position here. Take a look at him off to the side with Earth Shatter.
Well, they absolutely needed that second point as quickly as they got it there, because first was all the way bad for them, got a break on it, and you have to capitalize on the other team's mistakes, and that's exactly what Liquid's doing right now. Mez no longer in the hero position, but still in a position to be a hero. He's got Earth Shatter up. He's probably going to get fed this Anubis yet again. He's been getting them all night, and he's made the most of them.
Mezar right now hanging on here. Nano boosted Reinhardt, though, going to say hello. Mezar not going to have the chance to drop an Earth Shatter right away. Counter Earth Shatter comes in here from Tweety. Didn't quite get what he wants. Now Mezar might actually have the chance here for the Earth Shatter. Gets a Nano boost of his own, drops the Earth Shatter, drops down 2, and just like that, here comes Team Liquid.
The most underrated part of Mezar's play there is not what he just did, it's what he prevented from happening to his team. He blocked that entire Earth Shatter, and when you can do that as a Reinhardt, you have already run the battle. They are going to run a major to try to stall it down, but this fight is now all the way for Team Liquid, and you go back to maybe giving up on that point a little bit too quickly as Mez continues to roll through.
Hey, I'll just say this. When it comes to his Reinhardt play, Mezar is not budget Miro. He is Miro class. I will give him that. That was phenomenal. Coming out, Rafa right now. Coming in, trying to clean this up. The defensive spawns are on the way back in. 90% charge Zarya, no slouch. Able to melt down D.Va immediately here, but might not be enough as defense starting to swarm and overwhelm. Even have Pure here on the 76.
Yeah, a little bit late on the Ana charge. It's not the worst kind of ultimate to waste based on how quickly most very good Anas can bring it back up to full. So Mez is going to have his ult. Truly will have that up yet again. I think Shrugger might try something cute here. He's up top as Tracer, and this could be just to keep eyes on to see if anyone rolls up there. Yeah, it also could be to find a lone support in the background and get one of those kind of finesse pulse bombs in.
Pure right now just hanging on in the back on that Ana. A minute 45 remaining here for the offensive team Liquid, and Truly looking for some shenanigans. Graviton's here trying to set him up. Truly gonna get to that backline, trying to outmaneuver Reinhardt. Will do a lot of that with the aid of Rafa. 2 kills here from Liquid as they try and put this one away. Minute 30 remaining.
Mez is trying to come in and bring it back, does take down Moffat early. They have a couple annoying heroes on the cart, but Mez just swings his hammer like he's swatting at flies, takes down the Tracer, takes down the Ana. They are in full-on delay mode as Graceful comes out into D.Va here. A pulse bomb comes in late and fails to connect with anyone, and against all odds, Liquid finishes the map with 1 minute and 10 seconds left.
Nice stuff coming out here from the side of Liquid, and that minute 10 is very important. The reason is that now, in terms of pressure on Splyce, Splyce must finish the map with at least 1 second remaining. If they finish the map in overtime, they're not going to get another attempt on Numbani because of how first points work when you have to capture them and you don't start with a payload. So extra time pressure being applied here to Splyce when they go on their own attack.
I just can't talk enough about Mez this entire night. He has been great. Unfortunately, we might have to talk about him not being so great, as he looks like he's queuing up the Winston, which has been as good as the Reinhardt play we've seen tonight across the board. Winston has been rough just for everyone.
Yeah, Winston's been an interesting case where, again, I just think it's a case... I would categorize it as NA and EU definitely falling behind in how they play Winston. Just because you think I've been on comms with NA and EU teams now, they think about things. The immediate thought is, how do we win this fight immediately? Whereas I feel like when you take a look at the approach from teams like, say, South Korea in the Overwatch World Cup, I think you see more of an approach of, how are we going to win the war? Well, we win the war with more control.
Right.
Whereas NA and EU, they're much more focused on how do we get the first pick off and just roll right into their faces.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. The other meta is we're going to wait for the other team to beat themselves, and if we give them enough time, they'll make a mistake, and then we're going to jump down their throats. It's not necessarily the giant, we have to win this right now, let's get aggressive. It's picking the right times to be aggressive, and Winston will buy you that time. It buys you the vision, it buys you the engagement and disengagement because of how his cooldowns work. So I completely agree. We're going to see if Mez can have good moments on his defensive Winston here. Shrugger had jumped in a lot of times on the Winston last time, died very early a couple times, but was able to come back in the fight. So they are running this May as well, so it's going to be interesting to see where the offense's angle comes in. If they come in stairs, they might be in a little bit of trouble.
Definitely agree, and you take a look at how Splyce is handling things right now. They're looking like they are splitting off, and I don't know about the split strategy here. Sometimes it can work out, sometimes it can be very rough, where they don't have everyone here on the high ground. They did split a few people down into lower. It's going to leave them pretty lacking in poke over the top as they try and break through here. Rafa not really phased too much. It's interesting, though. I'll give them that.
Yeah, it's been spotted, too. So they knew that Graceful was going to come up over top. Actually, Dahang had looked away for a second. He was going to try to sleep dart him. Mez takes down Moffat really early. Graceful does get sleep darted as they try to clean up the rest of it. Mez gets a couple kills early.
I like how Mezar is playing this Winston right now, too. He's not being crazy aggro. I feel like playing on defense is working out for him a little bit more than what we saw from him on, say, Control Point earlier in the day. So it's pretty interesting. Where Winston, yeah, it's tentative, where you want to use your leaps to maximum advantage, don't want to take too much damage, just be a pest, but not overextend.
I like this defensive setup. It's almost like they're funneling them to the stairs. They would love for them to come in the stairs. They're trying to get eyes everywhere. Dahang, again, he's in this position to look for if there's a jump in, he's going to try to hit the Winston right away. Jump in does come down. They do not sleep through the Winston yet, but he does get bio grenaded. Mez is going to come in to try to help out this fight, but he is all alone out there now.
Mezar is all alone, but he's not taking that much more damage. Ends up getting the nano boost, and here he goes, looking for the Winston. Oh, goodbye, Reinhardt. He was going for the hammer down, but that hammer never going to hit. Not when you're knocked off the ledge like that.
Trades are going to be in the favor of the defense here. That's how Numbani ends up working. Moffat, though, with a couple kills of his own, trying to equalize things, and now the tanks for Splyce are coming alive as they grab 3 kills of their own. Trades are okay for the defense, but you cannot lose that many. This first point is probably going the way of Splyce. I say that because I've called Numbani wrong once, and it was terrible.
It's like probably. It's almost certainly,
Like,
you know, 99.9 repeating,
so
etc.
was the
But
last one. So was the last one I called early.
Try me.
What's a much better time?
you know what they say, Hex? Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Truly. So it looks like they want to take this fight very early on. They're going to get the Graviton in and try to get the follow-up damage as Mez tried to get some really early damage. AZK in there, they throw a Blizzard at this as well, and they are cleaning this up. This is really good if you feel like you want to spawn camp the other teams. Professional teams, even on Numbani, have gotten spawn camped right here before.
They absolutely have, and it's surprising, but it's not that bad of a location for the defense. It does carry the risk that you are near the spawn, and you really have to read the tea leaves pretty accurately here. You can get wrecked. And speaking of getting wrecked, I think if Liquid knew the ult situation right now, they wouldn't be anywhere near as far up as they are, because they're basically fighting this without much. However, AZK and Lijiang, they get ultimates lane to fight, but will it be enough? Here comes the Sound Barrier and Dragon Blade out here from the offense, gonna be countered by Nano Boost on the defense. AZK doesn't find time to use Death Blossom, uses it now, comes in over the top, takes down Shrugger, looking for more, and they're able to stand just long enough, Hex, for that combo to bear its fruit.
That was enormously patient play from AZK. He got boosted very early on. He went back through the house to come all the way around so that he could land the Death Blossom on the tail end of that ultimate, able to clean up a couple more. And that ultimate situation you were talking about is not looking so great for Splyce right now. I mean, Liquid probably doesn't feel great about the time they said, so they wanted to win 1 or 2 fights. Now they're going to take a more defensive position.
Indeed, and now here comes Splyce right now, looking for the way forward. Atonian holding on to the Nano Boost, but the Blizzard coming out from Truly. Gonna be zoning things out again. This aggressive defense of Liquid absolutely paying some dividends right now. You take a look at Moffat, he is all in rough shape. 3-on-1 in the building, never a great thing for a hog. And just like that, Liquid buying time, buying space, and keeping things further back.
Well, they are going to get caught in that grab right there and lose 3 immediately. That is the end of this forward hold, I guarantee you that. And now they're in trouble because AZK and Truly are very far behind. They're going to be very staggered deaths. That might be it for actually second point here. There will be 4 heroes up trying to reinforce, and we've seen stronger holds here. It is a point that you can get back to. Shrugger is going to be looking for action of anyone trying to stop his team getting from second.
All right, and you take a look here at the offense. They're keeping things going forward. Shrugger again, drop down over the top, gets the Nano Boost, doesn't quite have a Death Blossom, but the Earth Shatter coming in for Tweety stops the Death Blossom AZK with the Nano Boost. Here comes Shrugger, a counter Death Blossom of his own, takes down Truly right away. Back and forth, the Sound Barrier keeping Team Liquid in this fight right now, as both teams trading off blow for blow right now, back and forth. One of the most even fights we've seen, but you take a look at Graceful, has a Graviton on his own, trying to save it for the next fight. Might have to use it to secure this one, but 2 extra kills, he's going to be able to save that for the next fight, X, and that gives Splyce a whole lot of momentum.
Completely agree. You always say that McCree does really well when fights start to break down. Well, so does Tracer. And Moffat was harassing so hard in the back line. Minstrel got caught a little bit out of position, and then it was just Moffat cleaning up a couple of late kills, getting that finishing damage from the Tracer right now. So they are going to try to just hold this very aggressively. They're going to get grabbed.
Graviton comes in here from Graceful, again pulling a whole lot, but the Ice Wall stopping the damage, but here comes Tweety, and Earth Shatter knocking down 2. Momentum continuing forward here for the side of Splyce as Liquid is against the wall. They're going to have a chance to come back here, Hex, but what do they need to do to try and stall this out as they all respawn for the last attempt?
Might be Bastion time. They just threw 2 ults in there and got nothing out of it. Graviton and Blizzard got 0 kills between them. Truly is going to come up on a McCree. That might be the answer, but the answer for Liquid's all night been Mez, and he's got his ultimate at the ready, trying to get a enormous Earth Shatter to make them slow on this final push. There it is, takes down Shrug.
What a sleep dart to stop AZK in the back, but enough of a distraction might have been made here. Liquid can work with this. It's 4 versus 4 right now on the point, but the Sound Barrier comes out here from the offense. Graceful about to have that Graviton up. Tweety drops the hammer. The tank's coming in fast and furious here for Splyce. Late Graviton comes out. I don't know if that Graviton even hit anything. No, it didn't. Waste of a Graviton there, and that might regret that as AZK over the top onto the payload, spinning, taking down Graceful, and setting up his team to get the mop-up kills, as a lot of damage was done there. Shrugger, though, coming in towards the end.
Yeah, he gets a cleanup kill as well. He's trying to finish this off. The switch to D.Va is just to stall out, but actually is pretty decent as it takes down Shrugger there. Only Moffat alive. He's going to have to back out.
Hex, if Graceful is able to get a better Graviton onto back, is that a different fight? It feels like he sort of panicked it out there and he got nothing.
Well, I mean, anything's a better Graviton than zero, so I suppose the answer to your question it ends up being yes. Just some really clutch plays out of a lot of players there on both sides, and right now, this might be the last fight for Splyce, or they're going to drop Numbani.
Alright, to hang right now, going to power up AZK once more. AZK sprinting to the back off of this nano boost, looking for Zarya. Not able to get the kill immediately, but Rafa gets in there with the cleanup. 3 kills here from Team Liquid. Only 27 seconds remaining here for Splyce. And Splyce now. Maybe they have time for one more attack, but Hex, it's going to be close.
They're going to actually just bully them out too, and that next attack is probably not going to include Pure as he gets chased down and taken on very late. That's what they were looking for on the chase. Mez on this D.Va has absolutely clutched it out. He's going to have ult ready too, so that could be flying up through the air. Truly's going to get back onto the Mei as well. They know it's just this, just win this fight.
Alright, Sugar and Moffat able to take down 2 right away here. Moffat rolling around to back. It's 3 kills here from Splyce to Splyce. Last moment attempt coming through. And remember, this is just to force a draw. They cannot win this map at this point. Even if they get through here, they're not going to have time. They won't get an attack, but they are pulling for the draw right now. Moffat getting into the back line. And here comes Splyce. When the chips are down, they have everyone alive. It's going to take a miracle for Liquid to bring this back. There is no miracle, but Liquid going to get that minute 10 to try and put themselves over the top with 1 cap on the point A.
But again, with cart stuff, Rafa got out there, had Primal Rage, left too far up in the air to be counted as contesting. I mean, that's 1,000 HP and someone who can knock people about, so you should live longer with Primal Rage on there. So just not a banner night for cart defense and point defense. But as you said, the best possible outcome now is for Splyce to force a draw. Liquid will have a minute to take this point.
So for Liquid, it basically comes down to can they do it in 1 push? And they're definitely capable of doing that. We've seen them do it in the past. It's just, how are they going to attempt this? Are they going to go with standard, or are they going to go with a little bit crazy here? Seeing Rafa on the Winston, so might be more in the realm of crazy, because we haven't seen Rafa on Winston too often nowadays.
No, but if you're gonna run an aggressive comp, it's not just gonna be Winston, and the rest of their composition that they're at least queued up on for the moment is more standard, slow and steady kind of push. So, a little bit mix of both. Rafa was on the Winston last time, or at least a moment ago, to hold up on some defense, but maybe Rafa jumps in top right, just trying to take down 1 or 2 picks and then get out while the rest of the team slow pushes. I don't know, it's a bit of an interesting hybrid here that they're running.
I do miss the days when we used to see the double dive offenses that include Winston D.Va just really getting into a team's face.
Yeah, Winston D.Va Genji all the way going top right. It was tough for teams to deal with, but they have adapted. That's why you don't see it too much anymore. It's gonna be interesting to see the angle they take. I mean, Rafa, Winston is good on offense here because he can come up on the backside and kind of pincer the other team.
You see Rafa going in and immediately shut down by Graceful. Graceful having none of that, throwing Winston right out of his house. Now 6v5 coming in here from Splyce. Graceful, a little bit of fight here versus Mei, gonna take her out as well. So Graceful really cleaning house here on this Roadhog. Has Hook back up again, and for Team Liquid, they have to back out, and they get 1 more attempt at this here, Hex. It's not successful, gonna be a draw.
The reason you might run a Mei here is because look at that ultimate charge, already at 70%, probably will have an ult ready in this fight if they're able to live at least a little bit. Rafa does get slep darted, but it is AZK who's going to be the first to die. Rafa wakes up just in time, but Mez already down 4v6. They're going to have to clutch it out, and we're drawing on Numbani.
Graceful having himself a Roadhog and then some, sends Mei on a trip. Gonna be able to whole hog right here. Send Winston on another ride. Down goes Rafa. And just like that, Splyce will have forced a draw here on Numbani. We're going to go to map 3. And if necessary, Hex, that means a replay of Numbani on the table.
Yeah, we could be coming back to Numbani. It would not be the first time we've had to replay Numbani tonight. Slasher, what do you think?
Graceful would have been really upset if he did not carry them in that OT to go make this a draw, because he had a perfect opportunity to use that Zarya ult and finish off Numbani with 2 minutes to go and put Splyce in a very good position of finishing off the series, and instead they have to fend off 2 attacks. to be able to do that. So, you know, it's not great for Splyce considering how much momentum they had at the end, but at least they forced a tie to bring this to another map in Indian State.
That was a good point, because it was Graceful Zarya that whiffed that Graviton. So at the very least, Graceful did have the redemption moment towards the end. So not great from the Splyce point of view, but still better than what it could have been.
Another big note for me is that with Clockwork leaving this team and Clockwork and Pure having kind of been together since the beginning of the roster since they signed to this org and Clockwork going to NRG, Moffat's been pretty decent as replacement so far on Hitscan and on Tracer. I mean, it's very early on, we've only seen a few games, but he seems to be handling the part quite well.
Alrighty, so we're going to be moving on to our third map, and that third map going to be none other than Temple of Anubis. Another map, by the way, that is known for its draw potential, so could have an interesting set of replays here, to say the least, if it goes down that route. Doesn't always happen, but I would say Temple of Anubis is probably one of the most drawn-on maps in the entire game, just due to its nature, where it's really easy to get point A for most teams, very difficult to get point B, so you do get a lot of 3-3 ties as it goes forward.
This map may help out Liquid a little bit more, because I believe that Shui has a little bit more experience on Mei than Schreier right now. And we see how good Mei is currently in the meta and how important Mei is on 2CP, especially on second point defense. And that could honestly win them the game by itself.
Alrighty, so just waiting for Splyce to reconnect. We have one person restarting. Hopefully it's not an Adam. What was it, Adam? There was some player. I know Rulf is like on an ancient laptop. I think Adam or no, it was Reaver that was also on one too. We're just like, all right, guys, Reaver's restarting. Everyone, wait for the next 15 minutes. I don't know who's restarting on Splyce, but hopefully that's not the case. Been a good night of games though.
They've been close ones. I think as the melees have gone on, they've gotten closer and closer, which they mean conversely have gotten longer and longer.
It's interesting too, because we chose this format to like really shorten things down quite a bit, but you know, when teams have really good games, what can you do, especially as it goes this long? This isn't too bad though. We're entering 6.5 hours right now. This game could have been over. Last set coming up after this. I'm okay with things time-wise. Now, if we go into a bunch of replays, then it might be somewhat not as okay.
Well, best of fours, rather, 4 maps and best of 3s. That can happen for you.
So right now we are just waiting for that last person to reconnect. Temple Anubis is going to be coming your way, and this is where, of course, I'll ask you guys, what are we expecting here in terms of craziness or zaniness that could be coming out here on Anubis, or do you think both teams going to play standard? Because it feels like to me that the teams have been favoring more standard gameplay over anything too nutty. We didn't even see Liquid come out with a Pharah. Wait, Hex, you've muted yourself.
Oh, I expect for certain that Mei will be played on last by both teams. She's just that good, and she does enough poke damage on last that teams are going to be pushing into Blizzard every single time.
Yeah, and I think whoever has the better Mei really can swing games on 2CP, especially with some of the best Meis in the world. The other thing I think to note for Splyce is that they have liked running Zarya Liss comps. And that really they only put Graceful on the Zarya once he's been forced into that situation by like a Genji or Tracer, McCree, etc. So they like to run that. I wonder if they'll continue to try to do that style. I mean, Zarya is just so good that, excuse me, it's hard to see her not being in the comps right now.
Well, Zarya's interesting too, because that's sort of become Rafa's signature hero as time has gone on, where we see him. Big Zarya plays as of late, really good engagements, but hasn't been foolproof for Liquid here tonight. Definitely has been running into some degree of trouble. So we'll see how things go moving forward, but it does look like we are ready to go here on Temple Anubis. Will be our third map here in the series. Last map, of course, ending up as draw. Splyce still on match point. Liquid gonna have to fight this back, both on Temple and potentially another map right after.
Yeah, just to clear things up, if they do end up Winning this does Liquid. We'll be going back to Numbani, and we will hope for not a draw. I think if it does go to a draw a second time, we do a best of 3 on some King of the Hill. But that is neither here nor there. A lot of Overwatch to be played between now and then. We will let the offense take their time here, and we'll see what the defense wants to roll out. Oddly enough, not every team runs a Mei on first point defense. I think she can be extremely good on first point defense. I wonder if we'll see a defensive Winston here, but it does not look like they're going to be running that. As they leave spawn, ZP, what do you see for the defensive side of Splyce?
Well, we're not seeing a Winston and we're not seeing any Mei, and it's a little bit weird that we're not, just because we've seen in recent games, especially coming out from some of the Korean players, how effective that can be, how much control that can offer. And yet, right now, you take a look at this, they're really putting their faith in A, Moffat landing some big hooks, B, Shrugger able to build a Dragon Blade and use that to clean people up as they go in. Meanwhile, you take a look at the offense here, Hex, and do you think ID is willing to stay on this?
No.
That's not Hex.
Okay, that's not Hex, but also...
Yeah, also, no. Probably not. You just don't see very first point Widow here. I've seen it once or twice, and I think it cost the team the map for the most part, because they ran 2 lives of it, and you just wonder if those first 2 pushes would have been in any way effective. Because it's a good map.
Oh.
All right.
So, you guys both said no. Granted, I was wanting you guys to say no on this, but guess what? Widow's coming out, so you can take your no. Get out of here, Slasher.
If you can get 1 or 2 picks, the trades are really good for this, for the offense. It's a while for the defense to reinforce, and you can perhaps get something going. But there goes Mez, there goes AZK. Even if you get picks now, it's still not great.
It hasn't worked out here, to be sure, and losing 2 people early on, that just means they can focus in on Truly even more. Truly, of course, the renamed version of ID, and it looks like he might be swapping off this Widow. He's definitely considering it, going towards the spawn point. So Widow Gambit, not quite what they wanted, although in Truly's defense there, he didn't even get a chance to take a shot before Mezar and AZK both jumped in and both were immediately dispatched. So Splyce defense coming in strong, able to deal with those leaping options pretty quickly.
There's a pretty aggressive dive in, but it leaves Dahang exposed behind him as Moffat feasts on that. Rafa does avenge Dahang immediately, though. It's a 5v5 fight going on that does favor the offense a tiny little bit.
That's fair bit. Tweety right now moving around, swinging the hammer once more, has the nano boost. Not quite getting as much as he'd want, getting a little bit of a juke move there from Rafa. Rafa, not the most fun dance partner, but Tweety finds a new dance partner, picks up Winston, slams him into the wall. I don't think that's how you're supposed to dance there, Hex.
It depends what kind of dance. But that is going to be them resetting as Minstrel speed boost his team out. They do get out in time, but that fight took a long enough time to the defense. Now again, back at full force here. Graviton's gonna come in.
Here comes Tweety right now, swings the hammer into the Graviton. Shrugger takes down Rafa early on, as Tweety holding on to the Earth Shatter, looking for the opportunity. Might not need it, as you take a look at Liquid. They are bowing out in a hurry. Now with only 2 minutes left here, this really gets dangerous because they're going to have one big window here where they're going to be using most of their ults together. They have Soundbearer and the Graviton, but Hex, they don't get this when they use those ults. It's going to be rough.
I think if they don't get it here, they're going to have to switch into triple tank to try to get some breakthrough. I think they do need a Reinhardt, Andy, Winston, and Zarya's always going to have, but they are going to run Mez in right away. He gets darted immediately. It is chaos down there as both sound barriers go down, so it's bloodless so far. Mez does get the best of Moffat, and that is a huge kill that they needed there. They added another. If you do not get this, it is a huge disappointment.
3 kills coming in here from Liquid. That was their window with the ultimates they had charged up, and they do not disappoint. Mezar having himself a time in the back, taking down Lucio, so everything going Liquid's way. A lot of time drained off the clock, though, by Splyce, and that could come back to haunt Liquid as the game goes forward. Now, Hex, what are you expecting here out of this first push from Liquid? Do you think they're going to burn ults or just save for that one big fight?
I think Mez is going to just dive in and do whatever because I don't think he wants to be on Winston much longer. I don't think it's kind of the tank that you want for your final push, especially Mez. So maybe they use a Death Blossom. I don't think they should. They should probably wait for Dahang to have it up and a spin to win. They're going to rotate right side, though. And that pick is almost the end of this push already as AZK goes down.
AZK falling that early definitely puts Liquid in a bad spot. Moffat being absolutely relentless here on these hooks. Already has 2, and he's just looking for one more here. Hook cooldown is up. There's takers all around. Finds Rafa. Rafa, though, can immediately shield and fire right back. Moffat actually lucky to get out as he was getting roasted right into the backside there. And now you take a look at the ult situation for Liquid Hex. This seems a little bit better for them, although the defense has quite a bit of ults as well.
Yeah, Mez retreated, did not pop his primal because I don't think he wanted to feed 1,000 HP worth of damage into them, and they're just going to pop it on him. There goes the spin to win, truly in there with his boost. AZK takes down a couple. They got to keep getting kills here. Already with 3, though. It's a point that you can stall out and defend on forever. As Shrugger tries to equal things up, he gets taken out by AZK. This is looking great for Liquid.
It's looking super good for them, and unfortunately, I think Sugar was a little bit late at playing with the Dragon Blade, and now here comes Liquid, able to get control of the point. They cap it out. 3 minutes and 56 seconds remaining. That's a great time here in Temple Anubis, and now a lot of pressure going on the Splyce.
They take last holding 2 ults. That's how good that those kills that they got in there, where they had Graviton and Primal Rage still up. Not needed. All you needed was the Reaper and the Ana. Sure, Slasher's thrilled.
Slasher almost certainly is.
So
He's so
excited.
thrilled he has nothing to say about it.
Fine. He's probably left the room. Well, that is a pretty decent time so far. We'll see if their defense can hold up here. They are going to... It looks like they're going to be running the Winston on the defense. Mez has... His Winston has gotten better throughout the night, for sure. It looked rough early on, but I think that might have been part of control maps, just not quite certain how to play it there. But they're also generally just going all in on Mez. And he's getting boosts even though they know they're going to sleep him, just because a boost will keep you alive through the sleep, and he wakes up still pretty angry. So Mez has been getting a lot of these nano boosts from Ana and has looked good on it. And it looks like they are going to run the Winston and they're going to run the Mei on their defense, which is what we predicted from Splyce's defense.
I do like this defense a lot more. Just from the times we've seen Temple Anubis, the times where teams have had those great first point holds, it has come off the back of this Mei Winston defense, which again, the name of the game here is control. Now the part that's a little bit dubious, I think it's how you have to run it, but bear in mind, there is a lot of pressure here on AZK, where if somehow Moffat is able to get a pick off on the AZK, catch him off guard where Rafa can't get a shield onto him, then there's not a lot of punch behind this control, and things completely go in Splyce's favor.
But we see them setting up in very similar ways to how we've seen this defended by the South Korean World Cup team. Mez is going to be up over the top here, a little bit spread out everyone else. You've got AZK in the corner, so they're not going to be vulnerable to any kind of big dive-ins or splash, as they're just going to react to what the offense wants to do. It gives up free entry, which is not necessarily what you're used to seeing on Anubis, but the moment that they segment them off, they're going to jump in. There it is.
Yep, Truly with the Ice Wall sets up Winston to go in there and make a little bit of space. They don't quite get what they're looking for, but they're definitely doing a little bit better on the poke early on. However, this is not necessarily the worst here for the offense, especially if Graceful is able to get out. Graceful able to back away from that Ice Wall, so the control here for Liquid not going as cleanly as it could be going, and slowly but surely, Splyce making some real progress. Moffat with the hook on the Dahang, and suddenly the floodgates open. 3 kills here from Splyce, and Liquid probably going to have to say goodbye to this first point.
Very much so. I think Mez is going to hang around and try to stall it out if he gets a chance. That's why he's still back up here. He's just going to buy as much time as possible. He's going to try to get in and out, but he got slept pretty early on there. So that is definitely going to be first point. The name of the game is control, but control and then punish. And they were unable to get that wall in the ideal position early on. They wanted to cut them off from rotating through the left side. Unable to get the kills early on, which is exactly what you want to do. Get 1 or 2 kills, force them out, and reset. Unable to pull that off, and a world of time right now for the offense to finish out Anubis.
All right, take a look here at the back. Truly will have the Blizzard out. This is going to act as a big impediment here to the offense. Gets the freeze on the Tweety, takes him out, sets up for 2 more kills right after, and this push pretty much as good as done. When you're an offense here on Anubis and you don't get the flawless victory to start things out, it's going to be bad. And oh my goodness, Truly on a triple kill here on Mei. Every icicle on point. Beautiful stuff coming up from Truly to save this point here for Team Liquid.
Mei is pretty good on first point. She is excellent, and I consider her must run on second point of Anubis. She's just that good, and if you can have your team stall out and delay enough for a while and let you some icicles hits late in there, then you're going to be building ult so quickly. Blizzard was just used. Truly's at 82%.
And take a look at the offense here. I mean, unless Moffat gets a ridiculous hook, which that was, but it was saved by Rafa there towards the end, it's going to be somewhat difficult for them to push through with this composition. I think they're really going to have all their eggs in the Reaper Ana basket, and that's not necessarily the best. And speaking of Reaper Ana, here comes AZK, goes to the back line, effectively takes down Tweedy, gets on the Moffat, shredding tank after tank here. This push as good as done. Death Blossom and Blizzard going to be on the menu here for Liquid as well in the next fight, so things not necessarily looking super great here for Splyce.
They're on the chase just looking for anything more that they can get because it's essentially zero risk. Even if you lose someone out there, if you've just killed a couple, they're going to respawn in time. The respawns are so close to the defensive last point. All you're really giving them is a little bit of charge, which is not the worst thing in the world. Again, they do have ultimates up. Truly still has the Blizzard up. Mezer's going to hang out up top here, and again, that style of just getting free cleave from the back line. Oh no, Truly down though. There goes Blizzard.
Truly is down, but he got the Blizzard off. It's still going to zone out the attackers. The key thing for Splyce is not to lose anyone just yet, and they haven't lost anyone just yet, but AZK with the sound barrier looking to spin right in. Graviton going to maintain him in a field. He's not able to get the damage he's looking for. Everything going the way of Splyce right now, and Splyce, have they done it? They have yet to lose a single person. Tweedy picks up the double kill with the hammer in the back. And just like that, Splyce with an even better time. 4 minutes and 29 seconds remaining on their time bank. So Liquid came out with a strong push. Splyce coming out with an even better push. As Splyce is going to take to the defense here once more.
The second Blizzard was not the best. It got no one into it, and I think it's because that Splyce just knew it was coming. They didn't see it on the push prior to it, so there's 100% chance that Blizzard's going to be up and ready for the next push, because it's generally charges that quickly that you know you're always pushing into it, and they just spread out on it. The only person really walking into that Blizzard was Graceful, but just Zarya shields her way out of it, so they just knew what they were going to be up against and played around it to perfection there.
So defense here for Splyce, we'll see if there's any sort of change-ups coming in. I'm actually a little bit surprised they're running the defensive Genji here again. I didn't really fall in love with it the first time around, but it's what they've practiced, so it's what they're going to play. Meanwhile, from the offense, looks like pretty standard stuff as well, where Mezark just going to be looking to jump in and create a little bit of a distraction.
Well, Truly is not going to be running the Widow, so that idea is dead and gone. They are going to push in with a little bit of a normal tank composition here, as Mez will be back onto the Reinhardt as well. So a very, very standard-looking comp coming out for Liquid's offense.
So Splyce right now hanging back. What do you see for Atonian? Atonian just trying to do as much damage as possible to that Rhine shield, make it easier for it to be broken down early on. But there's not a lot of control going on here as Liquid, they're able to go right into the alleyway. You do have Splyce here trying to engage, but it's not the greatest positioning. Tweedy gets caught out by that charge, and suddenly Team Liquid looking very good here in this push. They are poked down a little bit as it's a 5v5, but still, they can work with this.
Well, Tweedy completely missed his charge, but they did end up losing to Hang during that fight, but they should still be pushing this point. Moffat takes down Maz. It is now 4v4. It's completely back and forth right now as Pure chariots with the AVZK. Rafa does take down Aidentonian, and it's just red, blue all the time here, but that's generally better for the offense. Tweedy comes in late. That grab will clean up everyone, so a push that looked decent enough for Liquid just ends up turning in the favor of Splyce, as they're going to have all their reinforcements back, almost a complete reset.
Actually, very surprising that it did turn that way. And now you take a look at Splyce, they're going to have even more ults up here in the next fight. A Nano Blade could very well be on the way here. Tony about to have that Nano Boost. Shrugger, of course, very close to Dragon Blade. And honestly, this is not bad at all for Splyce. I think Liquid had a window there that they sort of let get away from them, and now they might very well have to pay the price, as Shrugger just hanging on here, as a combo is about to be on the way here, Hex.
Yeah, they're going to try to work with that. They have most of their ults up, but it's really just going to be a battle of the Qs incoming here. They all eat a grenade. They should wait a moment and get healed back up to just go down into the point instead. It's a Deadeye up. There's sound barriers. Everyone's hitting Q. I don't know who's going to come out of this skirmish.
And both teams throwing haymakers at each other, but it's going to be the Earth Shower from Tweedy that knocks down 3 and sets up Splyce. They win the ultimate showdown, and now Splyce potentially on the verge of this first point hold. They need about 1 to 2 more good fights here, Hex. But if they have the first point hold, things look very grim for Liquid indeed.
The only silver lining for Liquid is that they force Splyce to use all their ultimates as well. So if they can just get in a basic fight and get some kills going, there is a chance they could bring this back. Rafa does have Graviton up, Truly does have Death Blossom up. That is a combination they could use. They need to back out of this, though, as they force Moff into a hold hog. A nice dart's going to sleep him. Here comes the grab.
I think Rafa called from saying, let them in, but it doesn't quite work out that way. Truly goes for the spinning, ends up eating Moffat's primary fire instead, and a counter Graviton coming in here from Graceful. Is the follow-through, though? It's not necessarily clear. Shrugger dove in deep, doesn't get what he wants, and suddenly, nano-boosted Zarya appears, going to get shattered and just rammed into the wall. Farewell, Graceful. And yeah, Splyce still kind of hanging on here.
Maybe. They should probably pressure this in again, because every second is going to be super valuable, and you never know if you're going to nail something huge. Shwitty does have Earth Shatter, but that was did not get it off. Shrugger's going to come into a Dragon Blade. They're throwing everything they have at it, but I think the moment that they missed out on getting that Earth Shatter was a moment they should have at least saved ultimates. I don't even mind trickling in and dying, but I'm not sure about throwing ults at it, unless you're going to see switches coming up on last point, which is very possible anyway.
Well, the interesting thing here is now the odds of a draw have just skyrocketed because Liquid taking this final point, not super likely, and taking both points in 4 minutes and 30 seconds, while clearly has been done twice by once by each team in the series, still not necessarily the norm here on Anubis. So we'll see how this works out. Liquid looking for the win right now. 37 seconds remaining here. This is a fight that they cannot lose.
Shrugger was going to switch, which is why you saw the late Dragon Blade. That's why also you saw Druidi not use his Earth Shatter. I think he was actually trying to get it down, though. But this is the only push from Liquid. They get cut in half on their way in. Truly's going to try to get out. They do get out, so the fight is not even over yet. AZK, did he get anything off this Deadeye? The Sounder saves it.
Both teams drop the beat. Tweedy, though, the Earth Shatter catches Liquid off guard. It was a must-not-lose fight here for Liquid, but unfortunately for them, lose it is what is going to happen here. Lucio trying to go round and round. Tweedy just swats him off like an annoying fly, and just like that, it is going to be Splyce with the hold on last. 4 minutes and 29 seconds available to them to go through both points. They can't get point B. We're looking at another draw.
Oh, Anubis. I'm all for some bonus Overwatch. Well, after this, Liquid is going to have to play tempo as well. So I would say this new Splyce roster is working out pretty well. They've given Liquid all they can handle and more. And honestly, if they grab point B, that's going to be a 2-0 on Liquid. So if they are able to take point B, that is going to be the end of the sets. We shall see. Liquid was very close to not even getting that first point. It's been a struggle. They've had to, claw their way to every bit of victory they've gotten tonight for Liquid, but they continue to hang around and stay in it. This offense, nothing super out of the ordinary for them. It kind of looks like they're just running the heroes that they want to run for the most part.
Nothing too crazy coming out here, to be sure. I do like the Genji a lot more on offense. And remember, this is a case where, especially when you run a Genji, if Moffat is able to get an early pickoff and say that Splyce takes the first point very quickly, that's probably going to be their best chance of winning this map and winning the series outright, where if they get really gummed up and it takes them multiple pushes to get point A, the odds of them actually going to point B with momentum, way less. So not much time here for the side of Splyce. Overall, when you consider the fact that they have to get point B. Lots of time to get point A, but getting point B can be a challenge in a lot of cases.
Well, I think you'll see Liquid maybe play to that point. Of course, you want to win and deny point A, but if it goes all bad, you're not going to see them feed as much as perhaps you would see, or that you did see Splyce do on the last time too. So they know what is at stake here. They know their win condition and their draw condition.
Shrugger beautifully getting to the backline, takes down AZK. Gonna get slept towards the end, but a huge hole has been made in this Team Liquid defense. And even though Shrugger dies, which will stop him from getting quite as much ult as he normally would have, the writing could very well be on the wall here for Team Liquid. Gonna require some huge plays out of Truly and Rafa to bring this back. Here we go, though. Hook comes in onto Moffat, but gonna get countered here by the sleep. Graceful and Tweedy moving in, so this is gonna be Splyce's fight.
It seemed like Mez and Truly did not get their retreat memo. They both hung out up top way too long and ended up getting punished for it. Now, as tanks, sometimes you can do that or feel too safe because you have an enormous health pool. But they both ended up getting punished for it. Mez dying early for Liquid always hurts their chances. They have to defend now for 3.5 minutes.
They do have to defend, and now you take a look at Splyce as they move this forward here. This is really going to be their window here, X. They almost have Graviton and the side of Dragon Blade, so the Sound Bear is in. They get nothing from the Sound Bear, they just use it to move in. Might be a little bit wasted. Here comes the Graviton, and here comes Shrugger. Is this the game-winning blade? Slicing into that Graviton, comes in a little bit late, but Minstrel is down. Tweety and Graceful going in. Everything going the way of Splyce right now, as Splyce has Team Liquid on the ropes. Hex, they could not ask for a better push.
They absolutely could not. They needed that so badly. Truly's got to try to come in and hide himself in a corner. Minstrel tries to skate up the wall. Nothing doing there as they are dying one by one. You just need someone to stall and need to start getting a few kills left and right. Hang comes in. He's taken down. This is about it as Rafa comes in on the D.Va trying to sell out even more. Not quite enough as Minstrel misses the beats a moment too late. GG's are called. That is Splyce 2-0ing Liquid, and I think we know how good this Splyce team is now.
They played excellent, and now I have a question here I'm going to direct directly to Slasher, but Slasher, there's one thing that really stands out to me when I watch Team Liquid. How much does it hurt them that they don't seem like they're comfortable putting anyone on the Genji, particularly in this meta?
I think it's a big deal. I mean, Genji has been nerfed like 10 times since closed beta, but he is still the highest skill cap hero in the entire game, and Genji is never going away, ever, ever, ever. And if you can have a top tier Genji on your team, you could always pull out comps and do things that you could otherwise not. And although ID truly does play Genji sometimes, it's definitely not one of his highest skilled heroes. And that is going to be a problem. Though I will say, more than that, Liquid lost that game more than Splyce won that game. Completely misuse ults on the second point and both run-throughs for Splyce on offense. Liquid, I think, had 4 ults the first time, blew all of them, none of them connected, and then on the second run-through, they used 3, only one of which was a Mezzer or Shatter, which he didn't get enough kills off of it anyway. So it really is poor ult management coming out of Liquid for both run-throughs on Anubis.
Interesting, and yeah, I tend to agree there, especially because with Genji, you don't always have to run a Genji, but I feel like even just mixing it up forces the other team to adapt, can catch them off guard and all the rest, and Shrugger's Genji definitely doing a lot of good work there. But we're going to be taking a short break here in just a moment, going to be rounding up into our final set of the night, going to be Kingdom versus Splyce here on the Alienware Monthly Melee. We'll be back in just a few moments.